Time is a precious commodity. People use it for all sorts of things. Some use it for work and other responsibilities. Me? I'm going to use time to talk to some really awesome people. I'm Sergio Barrera, and this is A Few Minutes With. Hey, everybody, it's me without a microphone.
I got mine.
I was sitting here going, something's missing.
You're like, I can see a whole lot of my screen. What?
I was like, what?
What
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of A Few Minutes With. I am Sergio Barrera, and joining me, as always, is the amazing Susan Bruiser, Susan Chisholm.
Hello.
George took the night off, so it's going to be you and I, Susan, here on this week's episode.
It is.
We gonna get scientific, apparently.
We are. I love it. Well, and originally the idea was the opposite of scientific, so we vacillate wildly between ideas. It's fantastic.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but okay. But here we are, and yeah, here we go. Right to it. Do the Drew. Another great start.
You know it.
We are nothing if not clumsy. So yeah, here we are, Thursday night. One more day to Friday, and then for myself, at least a 3-day weekend. How about you?
Same.
Excellent.
They don't do surgeries on Memorial Day unless it's an emergency. So
well, that's good. I want to say hello to friends who've joined us already. Do the Drew in the chat, along with Captain Sparkle Pants and our friend Savage. Thank you guys for joining us so much as we prepare to have a bit of an interesting conversation tonight. This actually was a topic that came from you, Susan Bruiser.
It did.
Yeah, and I mean, you know me, I'm always looking for ways to title things and make them memorable, and I came up with just simply cool science stuff. So that is going to be our topic here tonight.
Cool science stuff.
Yeah, what inspired this topic?
Honestly, I'm a huge nerd. So when I scroll through TikTok, there's a lot of like science experiment type of things and like science facts. And I was like, I'd be really cool things to talk about because, you know, I know a lot of things about, I know a little about a lot, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we agreed that we would bring 5 cool science facts.
Yes.
Each, and I don't know that we didn't really get into the detail of what that would look like, so I hope I'm on the right track with what I decided.
We'll find out because I think we both were like,
and being the rule breaker that I am, I have 7. So
of course. I had a video evidence with mine, but no.
I mean, yeah, if you forward it to me, I can maybe make it work.
We'll see.
So,
we'll see.
Yeah, shoot it over to me in the middle of our conversation, and then we can figure it out. But yeah, so why not? Let's get sciencey here this week on A Few Minutes With.
Scientific.
We're gonna have to record that. Was science a subject that probably a silly question, but growing up in school, obviously you're a nurse. Okay, dumb question. Did you love science?
Yes. I love science. So I will be completely honest and fair with you. I love science, all science, everywhere science except physics. Because
I never got that far.
I'm terrible at math. And physics is just, you know, when science met math and had a baby. And it wasn't that I wasn't, math doesn't, wait, hang on. I'm trying to say this to where it offends the least amount of people. Math isn't the most interesting thing. I was like, math is not something that interests me to the point where I will find ways to, do it for fun. So physics was tough in that I wasn't interested in the math portion of it. And so when they would talk about like, the cool things that physics has to offer, I was only half on board, I
Yeah.
guess. But physical or rather, physical sciences like biology, anatomy, physiology, microbiology, all of that fun stuff. I'm on board.
Yeah. For myself, science was fun. I was not, people have this tendency to think that I was like this ultra smart dude, but I graduated on what we called in high school football math. Computer math was my last credit that allowed me to graduate because I was very, very bad at math. What's hilarious though is I was recently talking to my wife, who is a math expert, as you know. She
Yeah.
works in the testing industry and writes math tests, and is part of teams that do this kind of stuff. And she taught for 10 years, and has been doing this career for probably, I think, more than 20 now. And she's the complete opposite in terms of math. I mean, math fascinates her to this day. I never had an interest, but I was talking to her recently, and I said, I think now if I chose to, like, I know it sounds strange, but if I chose to like see if I could go take like a math course somewhere, I would
Hmm.
be more into it. Like, I just because I think I've grown up and developed that sense of like, ooh, okay, if I put my mind to it, I think I can do it. That kind of thing. To where I would
Yeah.
learn it as a hobby. I haven't tried it, but I am curious enough now to know, hey, was it a thing about me younger and not mature about studying, or is it just that I'm incapable, because
Uh,
math has eluded
my
me.
so if it works out, my idea behind it isn't that, you know, it's simply that I'm not being forced to do this
Right.
for assignments for school. I'm choosing to do this.
Right,
So,
right, right.
much more
Yeah.
interest there.
If I went down that road, and I know I saw the little gleam in her eye when I said, I think I might want to learn. Um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Because I've gotten in touch with my inner nerd here recently. So, but science was cool. I liked anything that was related to mixing chemicals and stuff. I don't know what that says about me, but I loved biology.
Breaking Bad.
Things of that nature. But I was more of a history guy. History was my jam. Like, my when I look back at my time in school, and I think it's because one of probably the greatest teacher I ever had, Robert Inman, Mr. Inman, who sadly recently passed. I'm talking like within the last couple of months. 96, I believe he was. This is the man who most influenced me as a teacher, and he was my world history teacher in my sophomore year, and then I had him again for another class in my senior year. And he was the guy that finally, he pointed out to me the high level of mediocrity that I was displaying in my school life, and it wasn't a good news scenario. So anyway, but he created a love in me for history, and I mean, I can consume books about history of all types, and I credit Mr. Inman for planting that seed. And ever since then, that was my favorite subject, in addition to English and writing. I love writing. I should go back
Yeah.
to my food blog. Anyway.
Well, and like for me in school, I was definitely I took two English classes at the same time because I was trying to graduate a year early from high school
Yeah.
and completed both of them before the first semester was over. So that allowed me to take another science class. So I took
Yeah.
biology too.
What a nerd.
Um, yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
nerd.
that's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, my only in school, my only like a advanced placement in high school was English. And so yeah, that was a big one for me. Savage shares history for me as well. I had all my credits in a year, so I just took 4 history. I'm jealous. That's awesome. 4 history classes. And then Captain Sparkle Pants sums up math. Math was one of the few subjects I liked, and this makes sense to me. Follow the rules, get the answer. I'm like, that resonates.
It
And
does.
so, yeah, that's awesome. Who knows? Maybe someday down the road I'll be like, hey, guess what I learned today? Algebra. So yeah. But we are, see, this is what happens on our show. We have a topic idea, but now we're talking about, school stuff. So
I mean, it's fine. We about
yeah.
to get learned.
So how do you want to do this? I brought a few facts. I think you brought a few facts, and I think we were just going to trade them off. Is that the idea?
Sure. Yeah, that works for me. Since you have
Okay.
extra, you can go first.
Oh, well, I was going to say this is your idea. So how about you get us started? But I'm happy to if you'd like. What do you want to flip a coin?
Go ahead. Let's flip a coin. I don't have a coin. I have a cat.
I don't
She's right
carry
here.
cash. Do you have a coin?
Probably. Colin, do you have a coin? Wait, you can do it online. Hang on. Let's do this.
Wow. Okay. In the meantime, I want to say thank you once again to those of you who've joined us for this episode of A Few Minutes With. We are happy to have you here. Week to week, you can join us and find out what kind of cool stuff we're talking about. And it's rare that you'll ever know what we're talking about until maybe 30 minutes before the show. So
same. Okay, so do you want to go first if it's heads and I'll go first if it's tails?
Sure.
Okay. So Google, you just go into Google, type flip a coin. It actually has one. So it's heads. It's all you.
So was that me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So what I really enjoyed about this, getting prepared to do this was so many cool things I found out and learned today. Because earlier this week I learned about the history of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Here's where I'm going to start. There are more trees on the planet Earth, than there are stars in the Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. Like when I think about stars, it's like, what? And it says the number of trees on Earth is estimated to be more than 3 trillion. And in the Milky Way galaxy, there are 400 billion stars. And so it's like, this is what I love about science. If I do love science, it's that it boggles the mind.
Yeah.
To imagine that when we talk about how, you can't count the stars in the sky. Well, apparently you can't count the trees on the earth.
No.
And so I got that fact from a like NASA sponsored website, and I still decided to like cross-check it. just to be sure. And yeah, it's true. There are more trees on the planet Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. So there you go. And you nodded your head like you knew.
Yes. Yeah, I did actually.
Of course you did.
I'm a huge nerd. I was my original idea with my biology degree was to do some kind of earth science. So Colin and I have talked about being forest rangers.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was a for me at least a fleeting dream because I discovered that I probably would never survive well out in the outdoors. He would be fine. You'd find me shriveled up and crying in a little fetal position, approximately 6 feet away from the trail. Anyway, so now okay. Yeah, maybe. So Cullen presented me with one before I started searching, so I'm going to add this one in, and so now I have 6.
Excellent.
So he was saying if you shrunk the Earth down to the level of a marble, the Earth would be smoother than that marble. Despite all of the mountains and all of the valleys and all of the trees and everything like that, the surface is relatively what's the word? Uniform. So if you were to run your finger along the marble, you would not be able, obviously, like you can't because it's so small, but like you wouldn't be able to feel it. The marble is less smooth than the Earth would be at that same size.
Really?
And I did cross check it because I was like,
that sounds like Matrix level stuff.
Are you for real though? Yeah, it's true. There are more imperfections on the surface of a marble than there are on the surface of the Earth.
Okay, now see that worded that way, I'm like, oh well, yeah, of course. I don't know why that helped me to like kind of have it clarify in my head. So
there you go.
There you go. I like that. And that's the kind of stuff that science teaches us. It just makes us go, well, of course it does. That's
sense.
The cool part about science. So Savage says, sounds like they had to try it at some point. to know. So somehow we find this stuff out, but it's cool. All right. So far, I think we're off to the right start. Now, I will tell you, Susan, that some of the stuff that I found, you're going to be like, of course, that's what you looked for. So here's number 2.
Well, really quick, to be fair,
Uh-huh.
I have a couple of medical things on mine, so of course I did.
I'm sure. So yeah, how about this one? It's impossible to burp in space. When you burp on Earth, gravity keeps down the solids and the liquids from the food you just ate, so only the gas escapes from your mouth. In the absence of gravity, the gas cannot separate from the liquids and solids, so burping basically turns into puking. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, there you go. Can't burp in space. You're welcome.
Yum. Okay. So my second.
You're just gonna bypass it?
Anyway.
You're just gonna leave it alone. Okay.
I mean, of all the things, like, puke doesn't bother me that much, but
No, of course not.
If I had the choice, I wouldn't.
Yeah. I am definitely I'm definitely there used to be a show, I don't know if anybody has seen it or remembers it. Everybody Loves Raymond. Ray Romano. And one of my this is one of those shows back before the days of binging TV like the way it's known to be now. We would DVR every single episode, and we were able to you could, this was before you could do like, oh, I'm going to go find the series on Netflix and watch the whole thing. Like, we had to DVR. And so eventually we discovered, oh, we have seen all the episodes. Anyway, long story short, too late. My favorite moment in the entirety of Everybody Loves Raymond is where his wife asks him, like, you got to have goals in life. And he was always sort of a melancholy guy. That was kind of the shtick of the show. And she's like, so what are your goals? Like, what goal do you have in life? And he's like, my goal is to never puke again. And I don't know why, but that just struck me as so hilarious, because like, of all the things in the world that this guy could have been like setting his goals, that was his thing. And so I am particularly proud that I cannot remember the last time I puked, and I'm happy about that.
Good to know.
Don't send me to space.
Don't ask me about mine.
You're like, earlier today. All right, I think you're up next.
Yes. So, dry ice. Have you ever interacted with dry ice?
Not directly, no, because it scares me.
It scares you?
Yeah, because I've heard you can get stuck to it and stuff. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, but it's like ice. Like, if your fingers are wet and you touch ice, you think the ice.
Yeah, but isn't it like you're not supposed to handle it with like just bare hands? Or is that?
It's not recommended. But here's the deal. Science nerd, being science nerd that I am, okay. Dry ice was something that I interacted with quite a lot, and I learned that if you held it still, it's going to burn you. It'll burn your hand. Like, you get freezer burn essentially. But if you continue to, but like, it has to sit there for a little while. It's not just like oh no, it touched me.
Okay.
And I'm suddenly burned. If you continuously move it around, you'll never get burned. And actually, you could put it in your mouth and keep it moving around and blow out smoke. Yes, I have done that recently. So anyway, about dry ice.
I thought that was it.
No. It's solid CO2, right? So solid carbon dioxide. When it gets warm, it doesn't melt into liquid, it sublimates, which means it turns straight from a solid to a gas, right? If you want it to be a liquid, like if you want liquid CO2, then you have to put it into under pressure.
Right.
And it can be a liquid, but then as soon as you release the pressure, it turns straight back into gas.
Right. So like when you play paintball and you use the little CO2 canister to fire your gun.
And it hurts really bad when you struck your friend in the leg.
So much fun. All right. So don't put.
That's it. I'm gonna go get some dry ice right there.
No, One Punch Dough. Janine is in the house.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, Janine. Welcome. To all of you who are in the chat, thanks so much for joining. We always appreciate it. Okay, I think it's my turn. I don't know how to top that one. Let's see. It's not a competition, right?
It's not a competition.
Oh, here we go. sometimes I bring things to the table because you know me, I would like to talk about stuff. So, the temperature in Antarctica can plummet as low as 31 degrees below zero, so Fahrenheit minus 31.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that fact because I have always had this dream of going out to Murdo Station to like you you have to apply to do this, and I'm sure you have to have some sort of worth in terms of science, or maybe being willing to do like heavy lifting. But McMurdo Station is what, not McMurdo Station. It's sort of the the American scientific uh, location there in Antarctica, and I've always wanted to like go for like a season, right? And so anything I can get my hands on that teaches me about Antarctica, I'm all in, and I love watching documentaries about the continent. So yeah, negative 30. I can't even imagine it being that cold because there's wind too. So
yeah, I can say with complete and utter confidence that'll never happen for me because I can't stand the cold.
I think I'm beyond the point of it being possible, but who knows? Maybe I can figure something out. I don't know. It's a dream. It might be one bucket list item I don't quite get to. So Janine says you don't need to be scientific to go to Antarctica. I hope
That's
so.
true.
Yeah,
That's
you're
true.
probably right.
You can actually find like expeditions.
Yeah, I'd love it if I could be there, and if my job there was to, hey, you got to unload these trucks or something, like I'd do it in a heartbeat. Or work in the kitchen, like of course I'd love that.
Well, yeah, you would love that.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, so who knows? I have to figure out how to work that around work. So darn job.
Like, set up a call center inside the
Teach remotely from Antarctica.
All
right.
Okay, my turn.
All righty.
So, as a surgery nurse resident, I travel around I get experience in all the different specialties that my hospital offers. So, this month, I guess, or this like the past couple of weeks, I have been in the spine/neuro surgery.
Okay.
So I've gotten to see a lot of cool stuff. This fact is actually something that I learned from a surgeon just a few days ago. The brain has no pain receptors. So your brain cannot feel pain.
Right.
So that's why sometimes, and it's a freaky thing, but sometimes you're awake when they operate on your brain.
I have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're talking to you and you're answering questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I you know how in the past we've talked about, you and I, how I have weird trivia in my head. And I knew the brain doesn't feel pain thing, and I'm glad you brought it up, because it's like, oh yeah, I knew that. And I have read of cases where, when they're doing brain surgery and the person's not asleep, and I'm like, that's freaky.
It's and what it is actually you are awake and talking and communicating and answering questions so that they know they haven't or aren't getting close to an area that could cause.
I don't know that I could do that. Yeah, you'd have to sedate me somehow.
And what's crazy about it is this is something that I was talking with Cullen about, is they have intraoperative neuromonitoring specialists. So somebody comes in and basically sticks your skin in various places all over your body with these tiny little like microdermal needles, or like this long, and they go very shallow, and they tape them down, and that it periodically sends a little like surge to your nerves so you can feel it. Or that it sends feedback back to the computer and says, hey doc, you're getting a little close to X, Y, and Z nerve. You may want to come a little bit posterior, so that they know, like, hey, you're getting dangerous.
Look at you with the medical terminology. I love it. It's awesome.
It's really cool. I think if I wasn't a nurse, maybe in a different timeline, I could be intraoperative neuromonitoring.
You could still be. You could still be. In fact, your rotation right now, I believe, is in spinal work.
Yeah, spine and neuro.
Yeah,
it's a combo.
Cool. Yeah.
Tomorrow, in fact, I think I have a lot of cases that are involving deep brain stimulators.
Ooh. You'll have to talk about that when we get a chance. So
maybe
I mean,
I
not
might
I
pass
know there's
out.
HIPAA laws and stuff, but you might
Oh
what?
yeah, I might pass out. So
No,
like
you won't.
I've only seen like mainly I've been most of the cases that I have been able to be a part of have been a
Mhm.
lot of spinal surgeries.
Yeah.
Um, and the one brain surgery that we had scheduled ended up getting canceled due to something happening with the facility. Um, so I didn't have a brain case yesterday, which I was supposed to. And I got there ridiculously early and found out after I sat down for breakfast that it had already got canceled. So,
Oh wow.
but it's all right. So
Soon.
tomorrow, brain cases.
There you go. Absolutely. Janine shares that she did a whole series of reports on the brain. So brain facts are super cool. So I have to ask,
Yes.
share in the chat, Janine, if you would share what one of your favorite brain facts, and teach us. So we'll look forward to that in the chat here in a bit. All right, I think it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
I love clouds. I don't know if I've ever shared that with anybody. I remember in elementary school, I did a whole report on different types of clouds, cumulonimbus being my favorite, cirrus clouds and such. And of course, I had to do the cotton ball, using cotton balls to build my little presentation, and that stuck with me. And so this fact, I was like, okay, I know that I wouldn't have learned this in elementary school. A cumulus cloud, cumulonimbus being those big, tall thunder cloud type clouds. Cumulus clouds being more like your fluffy regular clouds. The average cumulus cloud can weigh up to 1 million pounds, according to the USGS. That's about as heavy as the world's largest jet when it's completely full of cargo and passengers. So you don't think of clouds as having weight. At least I don't. And so when I read a fact like that, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like that clouds have weight, And so I did not know that. Now I do.
Yes.
So,
and it's because they have all that water in them.
just let me learn without further.
I'm adding to it. I'm adding to it. They weigh that much because they're
Of course,
they're
yes.
so water.
That makes sense. But the plane is able to go through it.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Physics.
Oh, here we go. We got our brain fact from Janine. Brain information travels up to 268 miles per hour. Not in my brain. Not in this guy.
Have you seen one of those crank cars that you have to, it's like pedal, but with you, that's about how fast it goes. Information.
Oh man. 60% of the human brain is made of fat. Kind of like me. All right. So I think you're up next, Susan.
Ooh, okay, what I was gonna say was speaking of water,
yes.
sound travels 4 times faster in water than it does in air.
4 times faster. I knew the fact, I didn't know how much. So wow, that's pretty.
Yes.
It's got to have to do with current, like currents, I imagine. No? Educate me.
It has to do with the way that the molecules are spaced and distributed. So with air, molecules are very all over the place, but they're very spaced out. So to get sound to come through, it has to hit the molecule and then bounce and hit the other molecule to move the sound on. Whereas with water, they're in a matrix; they're a lot closer together, and they're already moving together. So the sound goes like that. It's faster.
That makes sense. All right.
Nerd.
Again, weird facts because Sergio. I didn't know this until today. About half of our body is bacteria. That's kind of a scary thought. Experts estimate that the human body consists of 39 trillion bacteria and 30 trillion human cells, a roughly 1 to 1.3 ratio. In the past, researchers thought that we were much more bacteria than human, with a ratio of 10 to 1. So just the simple thought of I'm half bacteria. I can't fathom that. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a shower after this.
Well, and to add to that, the most common bacterium found on the human skin is staph.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's why you can develop staph infection so quickly when you get like a cut when you're outside or whatever, and you start sweating and it gets into it. It can cause a staph infection.
Yeah.
But other additional skin bacteria or body bacteria fact. So there was a study done in I believe it was in the UK, where they cultured the bacteria out of people's umbilicus. So your belly button.
That's what I thought you were.
This is going to say this. Okay, there were countless bacterial infections, bacterials rather. They reported that there were 1,458 species that were new to science. And some of the bacteria were completely out of their known context. So, for example, a woman in like the Midwest somewhere, Kansas, something like that, who has never stepped foot outside of her home state area, had bacteria in her belly button that was found only in one small area of a forest in Japan. How did it get in her Bebo? I don't know.
In her Bebo. Oh my, the things one can learn.
And I will admit that I am terrified to know what is in my belly button. And all those people that have their belly buttons pierced, like you have skin bacteria and Bebo bacteria.
Alrighty.
That went in a direction.
It did, but it leads very nicely into my next scientific fact about DNA. Apparently, there is enough DNA in an average person's body to stretch from the sun to Pluto and back 17 times. That's pretty awesome.
A lot of DNA in a human.
Yeah.
So, wait, we have to ask the question: Pluto, planet or not?
I'm not going to join that debate because I know how I feel. So.
It's not a debate. I'm just asking.
It is a planet. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree. It is 100% a planet.
I spent too much of my young life learning that it's a planet, and nothing
can
change that.
So, because if it isn't a planet, I hate you so much. I hate him so much. If it isn't a planet, what did your mother serve 9 of?
Oh, Captain Sparkle. I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah. What did your mother serve 9 of?
I'm confused.
Did you never learn that? Did you ever learn the order of the planets? My very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas.
Not when I was in school. So
I guess they can just change it to something else. Anyway, so completely off subject. You did 2 facts in a row. So I get
I'm sorry. I was excited.
I know, and I'm totally cool with it because this is exciting. So we went back to water.
Okay.
Hot water freezes faster than cold water.
I do know that one.
Yes. I didn't get into why. It has something to do with, again, the molecules and the speed in which they're moving. That they can like stick in the matrix faster, I guess. I don't understand that, do you?
And there you go. Savage shares, and I believe she's referring to your learning aid about planets, that they teach it as nachos now.
Oh, come. So my very educated mother just served us nachos.
And Janine adds nachos. And that's where I'm at. So
yeah, me too.
Nachos is life.
My last 2, I'm gonna wait and split them because I'm just doing in a row.
I'm down to one more. So why don't you do one and then I'll do one and then you do one, since I was rude.
So rude.
Rude.
They're both medical related.
Of course they are. Yeah.
I
would expect nothing less.
The acid in the human stomach.
I know what you're gonna say.
Can dissolve razor blades.
Yep. I almost put that
And
one.
I would like to point out that I worded it in such a way that would not give the idea of, hey, let's eat a razor blade.
Right. We don't want to promote that at all. Do
No,
not test
it's
the
a
theory.
terrible idea.
I chose not to put it down for that reason, but there you go. So, yeah.
That's why I reworded it, because, instead of saying that way.
Yeah, and this is, of course, in the stuff that I read, obviously this is over time,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's again, this is why I liked this topic when you brought it, because I knew that it was going to send us down the rabbit hole of, and so that people understand, we we did not come up with our lists together. This was totally
Right.
separate.
Nope.
And so obviously we probably read or came across some of the same stuff, because of course if you search cool science facts or weird stuff, there's always going to be overlap, right?
Yes.
And so the article I was reading talked about how, the pH level of your acidity in your stomach, this and that, and I'm like, I sit there just mind blown, because I know that Susan has just dropped off the show, so I don't know what's happening. There she is.
Stormy hit refresh on my keyboard.
I was like, I know, and then you just realized like that Susan just left the show.
She is right here.
It's okay. We love Stormy, but lost my train of thought. But anyway, yeah, that whole notion of stomach acid being strong enough to just to eat away at a razor blade. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, the body is weird. All right, so my final one. I've always. We'll wait for Susan to get back. In the meantime, thank you for joining us this week. Look, if you don't want to be on the show,
keyboard.
just say so, man.
Trying to get her off of the keyboard, and she's
okay. Hey, remember that time we tried to do a tasting episode on with my kittens? So yeah, it's your turn. I love reading about tectonic plates. For the longest time, like, this has been one of my favorite sciencey things. And the continental shelves and how that all works. And I remember being in Cancun. I believe it was Cancun, because it was the year I took a cruise, which I've only ever done one. And Jen and I went into we did the coolest, like, we didn't do any of the drinking excursions that people would do. We wanted to do cool shit. And so the two big excursions we did, that's four. The two big excursions we did, one was an ATV tour through the jungles of, like, I forget, I think that one was Cancun. And I think Isla Mujeres was where we went we went into a little submarine, and it took us, obviously underwater, but it went out. I forget what the distance was that we traveled in terms of time, but it took us to the edge of what was the continental shelf. And so it was cool looking out and seeing, you're drifting along and you're seeing the bottom of the ocean, right? Where you are. And then all of a sudden it recedes. And so now you're looking at, like, nothing. And they took the sub out just beyond the edge to where you were, like, sort of floating above and I forget how many miles from that point down before you would hit the surface, right? And it was just the most exhilarating feeling. But if you looked left, you were able to see the shelf, and you were like, okay, it's still safe, everything's still fine. and it's one of the most absolute amazing life moments that I'll never forget. And then, of course, the sub turns back, and we we felt better after we were back over the the closer surface, I guess is the way to put it. Anyway, that being said, so this fact, my final one is, and I didn't know this, Hawaii moves closer to Alaska every single year. Because the Earth's crust is split into segments known as tectonic plates. Hot, less dense rock rises before cooling and sinking. The consequence of this is a minute shifting of where rock and the land above it is placed. So the Pacific plate is drifting slowly north towards the North American plate, And every year that passes, Hawaii moves about 7.5 centimeters closer to Alaska, which I thought is a really cool thing because, when you understand the tectonic plates and the science behind it, this is it's an ever shifting, however small the movement, we're living on a moving planet, and I just love that there's not everything is static, and so that's one of my absolute favorite topics, science wise, is tectonic plates.
So because of that, and I have kind of an addendum to that. Have you ever heard of Lake Baikal?
Mm-mm.
It is kind of southeast Siberia. It is like the world's oldest lake, is what it's known as. It is on a tectonic plate between tectonic plates. It also has points at which they are it drops as deep as the Mariana Trench.
Oh wow.
And it's a freshwater lake, so that's pretty cool.
Wow, that's cool.
I just found that out a couple weeks ago.
Indeed. Yeah, and I have to agree with Janine. She says it's wild that the world is constantly moving under us. Absolutely. Just glad we can't feel it all the time. So
So Cullen has a science fact he wanted me to add. So this one isn't mine. He said, it's the second part of that, the fact that I said earlier when if you shrunk the Earth down to the size of a marble.
Right.
It actually has more or less to do with our fingertips. He said science, our fingertips are so sensitive that if a fingertip was the size of the Earth, we could feel the difference between a tree and a car. Something you could tell 14 nanometers difference. You can sense it.
Interesting.
I don't know. I've burned my fingertips enough times cooking and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if I could even feel like my face. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Like I've had so many, yeah. My sense of touch at the age of 53 is not the same as it used to be. So, all right. I think you got one more to go. I'm all out. I have finished my list. Oh, you
have one more.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I sent you, the thing just in case we have time for it.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Give me just a second so we can time this right. While we get this set up, just one more time, I want to say thank you to all of you who've been with us here this evening. We appreciate you stopping by the show. We are on every single week, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central. So make it a plan to join us. And we will continue our conversation journey here with you guys week to week.
Conversational
journey.
Is that what you just said? We said it at the same time.
And yeah, so let me bring up what Susan just sent and get it set up for us. Now, are you going to want to play this before or after you share the fact?
That's a good question. So I guess after. So again, medical fact. An MRI, it's a type of imaging, so type of radiology. So it's magnetic resonance imaging. So they use basically a giant machine that's full of magnets, and they spin really, really fast and take pictures of you as they go around by sending energy between the magnets through your body, kind of thing.
Right.
So two things about them. Number one, they are extraordinarily hot, and in order to keep the magnets from melting or exploding, they keep it super cooled with liquid helium. So just the fact there, which that doesn't. But anyway, the magnet in an MRI, because if you've ever heard anything about it, they say don't wear anything metal into the room.
Yep.
Even into the room, because a magnet on an MRI is at minimum 300 times stronger than a fridge magnet. So the typical range of an MRI, how strong the magnets are, the magneticity of it, ranges from 1.5 Tesla to 7 Tesla, which outrageous. It's a lot. So the video that I included was a demonstration of how strong a magnet is.
All right. Well,
in
let's take a
MRI.
look at said video, and let's prepare to be amazed, I imagine. So here we go.
I mean, let's not go that far. It's just cool.
Hold on. Let me bring it up. There we go. All right. Thumbs up if everything's working, Susan.
So how strong are the MRI magnets? Well, here you have four playing tug of war with this thing. Why not just turn it off? Well, not only is it dangerous for the people in the room, but it can ruin a $3 million machine.
So they were pulling out one of those folding chairs, like what you see in wrestling.
Oh, so it sucked in the folding chair?
Absolutely.
Wow.
There are videos and TikToks all over the place if you just search MRI. There's one that I saw where they have it set up into like a testing chamber, and they have paper clips tied to strings, and all of them are pointing at the machine, and then they turn off the machine and all of them just fall. And it looks really cool. But the thing about the helium, if you need to, like, for whatever reason, emergently shut down the machine, you perform what's called a quench, and it basically you rapidly release all the supercooled helium, which immediately turns into gas. You have to have specialized like ports out of the building so they don't go anywhere near where people are, because it will replace all of the oxygen in the room real fast.
Wow.
And you know, while it might sound fun, like when you talk for approximately 2 seconds before you can't breathe anymore, it could kill you.
None of that sounds fun. That sounded absolutely terrifying to me. So
yeah, seriously, when you have time, search MRI quench videos, because it's ridiculously cool. Like the plume of gas, it's just like crazy awesome.
I have a feeling that people who are watching now want us to bring up a video.
What a coincidence. I may or may not have one saved.
I have a feeling that we probably got to give the masses what they want.
Let me see.
If you can get one sent over to me. So let's see. Savage shares, my grandfather couldn't get an MRI until about 5 years ago because he had a real shoddy 1950s Alabama surgical rod in his femur, and it was metal and magnetic. Yeah, that makes sense. Jen has her battery pack from her spinal stimulator. They're going to have to surgically replace it because she now has reached a point where MRIs are going to become much more necessary in her, dealing with her back condition. So, yeah, I'm glad that we're learning that MRI machines are scary as fuck. So, do you have a video for me? Oh, there it is. Okay, let me bring this up for everyone to see because Captain Sparkle Pants is demanding that we do so. So, we are here to please. Give me a second to set this up. So, Susan, did you have fun gathering the fun fact, the sciencey facts?
I've been talking this whole time and I've been muted.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome back.
So I was like, I have more MRI facts. Up until very recently, actually, red tattoo ink contained iron. Iron is outrageously magnetic. So if you had red tattoo ink, and you went into an MRI, it would cause it, because it can't like literally yank it out of your skin, because
right.
It's, it would cause them to heat up. So it would cause like 2nd and 3rd degree burns in the area in which your tattoo was.
Another fact that I knew. Yep. Scary stuff.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this video.
This one's less impressive than some I've seen. And you can, this one's kind of a long video. You can kind of cut it off short because I think afterwards it just shows like the effect of the releasing it. It's so like
Yeah.
the pieces of the machine are frozen.
Wow.
Like I would not be reaching my hands in there anywhere close to that thing.
Well, what I was marveling at is that all the gas that seemed to be going into it was a parking lot.
Yeah, parking garage. Because by the time it reaches a certain distance away, it's
very, very high amps.
Gotten mixed enough with oxygen to not be a safety concern.
Gotcha.
But there are some like research facilities that do test. Like all the pieces are frozen,
right?
Because it has condensed after releasing all the helium.
Interesting stuff. Well,
MRIs are scary.
We have had quite a night here talking about cool science stuff. If you have cool science facts or things you want us to talk about in the future, you can always reach out to us on social media. We are on Twitter. If you look to the bottom right of our window here, you can see both of our Twitter handles. So make sure you follow us on Twitter and share your cool science knowledge. And anything else that you may want to share with us, because we are going to continue this journey. We're going to continue to talk to cool people, have fun conversations like this, and we always want you to be part of this experience. Thank you all for joining us. Susan, gosh,
Hi.
We've learned new things and had some fun.
So I see the comment that Savage makes. Have you ever done intentionally inhaled helium to talk in the squeaky voice?
I have not.
We gotta make that happen.
It's not gonna happen. Not for me. But you can do it. But I will not. So not because I don't want to be fun, but because I have my own concerns. So, but thanks for the idea. So, anywho, yeah, I had landed the plane, I thought. So now I'm trying to figure out how to get us back to where we were.
You're like, anyway, back to what I was saying.
Yeah, it's probably back to wrapping up for the night. Yeah, so join us, follow us, all that fun stuff, and we will continue to have some fun with more conversations, more guests, several on the cusp of joining us here very soon. Yes. Susan, as always, thank you for bringing your cool knowledge and such to the experience.
Thank you. I love this. Like, I'm a huge nerd, and I can talk about nerdy things all day long. It's a little annoying.
No, I wouldn't say annoying. But I will say, if you guys are going to do anything this holiday weekend out there, please be safe. We all want to see you back when it's time for us to do this again in a week. If you do have a long weekend, congratulations. Those of you who do not, we'll be thinking about you and wishing that your your Monday will go quickly. And that you'll get to have fun with friends and family and all that good stuff. So until we meet again, my friends, we leave you with the same sentiment as we always do. You're awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on A Few Minutes With. Good night, everybody.